Hey everyone, this is Zach with the Iowa Plainsman Outdoors. Today myself and Andy are going to make a Livewell, Baitwell combination for the John boat. Real quick, before we get started, hit the subscribe button and then the little bell right by the subscribe button for notifications every time I post. I had this idea a little while ago, finally having a chance to put it to use. I had this old 150 quart cooler laying around, and I picked up some stuff called hardware cloth, which you can get, I guess, at most hardware stores. You can just get it by the yard. You only need a yard or two. And we grabbed an aerator that hooks up to the boat battery. So the idea here is I want to have a cooler that's large enough to fit good-sized, channel cat and flathead catfish in, as well as the bait, all in one cooler, all in one system. So we have a big 150 quart cooler, which earlier this year we put a 17-pound flathead catfish in, and it fit just fine with a little extra room. That's really as big as we keep. If it's over 20, we throw it back. So we figured that should be plenty of space for the catfish for a live well, and then it has some extra room for a bait. For our bluegills, sunfish, bullhead. That's mainly what we use for bait. And also, I'll show you this hardware cloth right now that I got, because it's nice because it's strong enough to withhold if a catfish is thrashing in the bait tank, but it's also malleable, so I think it works pretty good. And we're gonna get that stuff measured out and then kind of set into the cooler from here. So this is the hardware cloth that we got. As you can tell, it's somewhat malleable, but it's also very durable. So, like I said, if catfish is thrashing around in there, it shouldn't break through it. But we can also form it around the cooler to the size that we need. So Andy is doing the measuring and cutting right now because I'm terrible at math. Basically, we're just measuring the hardware cloth to fit the proportions of the cooler. If you're doing this, however big you want your bait well to be, measure out those proportions on the hardware cloth and make it fit however you want to design it. Ours is going to be, was it 13
and a half by 9,
13 and a half inch by 9,
16 inches deep,
and 16 inches deep. The hardware cloth is super cheap. I'm sure I picked up probably 1.5 yards of it, which is more than what we need by far, from the hardware store for probably under $5. So super cheap stuff. So Andy has got the hardware cloth basically measured and cut so that it makes its own basket, which we can then just place directly in the cooler for the bait, so they can stay secure in there without getting eaten by the fish that we catch. And then right now we're gonna zip tie those sides together. So this is where we got the hardware cloth sitting in the cooler. Right now, we can close the lid, open the lid back up, no problem. And then it's sticking out of the side over the edge of the cooler just a little bit. Sometimes we get some pretty high energy bait fish that like to jump out, so that might help prevent them from doing that. Andy is screwing the air pump into the top of the cooler. We fed the hoses from the top of the cooler, in through the top there, drilled holes, and we have two separate lines. One going to a bubbler in the live well, another bubbler in the bait well. All right, this is the bait cooler, basically the finished product right now. Andy's got it hooked up to his truck battery right now, and that's it right there. I think it's going to work pretty good. It's definitely better than what we were doing before, which is basically using nothing. There's the bubbler for the live well, putting out pretty good air, and then there's the bubbler for the bait well, also putting out pretty good air. We haven't done this before. This is our first shot at it, but I think this is going to work. That bait basket, I was a little bit concerned that maybe this would float around and just be really loose when we fill it with water, but it's holding still, so I think it's going to be good. In order to get this to fit, we cut it in so it'd fit really tightly. Just make sure the dimensions of your cooler for width and depth and length as well, for whatever length you want to cut it to. Just make sure it fits in there real tight so it'll be snug and won't move around a lot. All right, well that is it for what we had in mind for this Baitwell Livewell combination. Try it out. Let me know what you think. If you've done something like this, I'm interested to see other ideas. I searched YouTube a lot and I didn't find ideas that were quite simple enough really for me. So if you have other ideas that you've done something like this, definitely drop a comment below. I'd be interested to hear what you did. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and thank you for watching.